People seem so surprised by Speaker Ryan's announcement today, but I think it all makes perfect sense. After all, John Boehner is gone, Eric Cantor is gone, and now Paul Ryan is out. It should be said up front, I've known Paul Ryan for a long time. He is a stand-up person. He is a man of deep faith. He is a man committed to his family, which he said was the reason for his retirement.
Now, all three of our kids are teenagers. What I realize is, if I am here for one more term, my kids will only have ever known me as a weekend dad. I just can't let that happen.
Well, on a personal level, this makes perfect sense. Remember, Ryan accepted the speakership with a lot of reluctance. But on a political level, this reveals the schism between the establishment wing of the party and the conservative, populist. Let's not forget how tortured and outright critical, at times, Ryan was of Trump before and after his nomination.
This is not conservatism. What was proposed yesterday is not what this party stands for, and more importantly, it's not what this country stands for.
You have said throughout this process that you will support the Republican presidential nominee. Now you have a presumptive nominee, Donald Trump. Will you support him?
Well, to be perfectly candid with you, Jake, I'm just not ready to do that at this point. I'm not there right now.
I regret those comments that he made. I don't think claiming a person can't do the job because of their race is sort of like the textbook definition of a racist comment.
But after all of that, Ryan and the president they were able to forge a personal and a working relationship.
But we talk quite often.
Can you pick up the
every
phone
day.
and call him
all the time? I can call him anytime. Yeah, we talk all the time.
And
we talk about everything. We talk about policy. We talk about families. We talk about our kids. We talk about everything.
And the Speaker and the President worked together on the tax cut bill, which will no doubt be the highlight of their collaboration. And Paul Ryan was great on the life issue, and he empowered important House investigations. But on many other fronts, Ryan leaves the House with much unfinished business. Although the House did pass their own Obamacare repeal bill, both Ryan and McConnell together were unable to take it over the finish line. Senate passed nothing. And his long-sought desire to reform entitlements, that big share of the federal budget, never went anywhere. The true tragedy is that Ryan's swan song will be that nightmarish $1.3 trillion omnibus spending bill. It's expected to explode the deficit to over $1 trillion by 2020. So for someone who had dedicated a lot of his political life to fiscal responsibility, that is a tough legacy. Let's face it, Speaker Ryan was also uncomfortable with President Trump's positions on everything from tariffs to the wall to foreign policy. The two of them represent opposing strains of conservatism in some sense. One, the free trade, more interventionist establishment, that's Paul Ryan, and the other, a more American first populism, that's Trump. The Speaker's departure is a clear sign in my mind that Trump's vision, not Ryan's, is the future of the party. People misread the investigation mania that was swirling around the White House as a sign that the president's agenda is unfocused, unsteady, maybe even unpopular. But in reality, these investigations were the insurance policy against the tide of conservative populism that Trump represented. They needed to stop Trump. Because why? His vision is actually pretty popular, and it's actually working. Manufacturing's up and unemployment's down. China's back on its heels and making trade concessions. Never thought I'd see it. Rocket Man's ready to flush his nukes. Unbelievable. Regulations are being slashed. Great for business. Even on issues where Paul Ryan used to, he used to own these issues. Trump is now, in his own way, making a difference. Just yesterday, the president signed an executive order pushing work requirements, hallelujah, for those on public assistance. Ryan's exit, like Flake and Corker's before him, is but another indication that the establishment that was unable to beat Trump in 2016 is frankly just out of steam. We all know the phrase, if you can't beat him, join him. In this case, it seems to be, if you can't beat him, leave him. And the establishment may finally be ceding the party man who took it from them in the first place. And that's the angle. Joining me now with reaction here in Washington is Congressman Sean Duffy, who, like Paul Ryan, is a Republican from Wisconsin, and Matt Schlapp, who is the chairman of the American Conservative Union. All right, gentlemen, Congressman Duffy, let's start with you. Look, Paul Ryan is a great guy, personally love him. The president and he were never comfortable fits on key issues, immigration being one, trade being the other, and foreign policy, I think, being the third. And this omnibus, I think, sticks under Trump's craw, rightfully so.
Listen, Laura, I think you've been hard on Paul Ryan. He's a good friend of mine, and the reason he's leaving is not policy differences. He's a family guy. He slept in his office for 20 years. His kids are teenagers. He lost his dad when he was young, wants to be there for his own kids.
I see all that. You're totally right.
So that's why
that's fine.
But he's right. Paul Ryan and President Trump speak all the time together. They work on policy together. So if you look at regulation reform, if you look at tax reform, crushing ISIS, rebuilding the military, energy independence, they're on the same page.
Did Trump win on the border? And on trade, and on being less interventionist. He won on those three issues. He didn't run. Deregulation's great, but he didn't run on deregulation. That wasn't the callback chant at the rally.
So when you put Congress in one chamber as a whole, that's unfair.
Yeah.
So if you look at what we've done in the House under Paul Ryan's leadership, we've accomplished the president's agenda. We've moved over 400 bills that the president loves over to the Senate. It's Mitch McConnell, who has his partner in Chuck Schumer, that doesn't allow us to get through the big items that are the Trump agenda, which is the House agenda, and the Paul Ryan agenda. So to blame Paul Ryan for the failures of the Senate are absolutely and completely unfair. One other point. If you look at whether we're establishment versus new Republicans or conservatives, Paul Ryan is still fighting for entitlement reform. It's Donald Trump who says no entitlement reform, no Social Security.
If I hear the entitlement reform has gone nowhere. He's given great speeches on. You passed a piece of legislation, I know. It's gone nowhere.
But you need presidential leadership to help us on that effort, and Trump has been absolutely nowhere.
If it weren't for Trump, you guys would be in the minority right now, if you ask me. You guys would be in the minority.
I'm a big supporter of the president,
I know you are.
Fair
But
in the analysis.
look, and I know I love Paul Ryan too. It's not about personal stuff. Good. He deserves to be with his family. He's a great guy. But on the key issues that Trump got elected, the two of them were not on the same page. And I think he's leaving for his family. I'm sure he is. Yeah. But this is not Paul Ryan's party. This is Donald Trump's party. It's a conservative populist party. The principles, not about the man, it's about the principles.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think the key is for Paul Ryan is that what happens after Paul Ryan leaves, right? And Paul Ryan can spike the ball on the tax cut bill, which is a great thing. But there's this whole other agenda, let's face it.
$1 trillion deficit.
That's right.
That we're going to have.
There's a whole other.
How is that making America?
There's a whole other part of this agenda, let's face it, that Paul Ryan never cottoned to. His political advisors come from the Mitt Romney wing, and they were always uncomfortable with how the president approaches these major issues. And the question, there is the real dynamic.
He's embarrassed by Trump. He's kind of embarrassed.
He's
by
not
him.
comfortable by this.
Okay. Let me.
That's unfair. I mean,
Elkhorn, Wisconsin. We got to play this. October 8th, 2016. This was the day everybody's piling on Trump. Billy Bush tape came out. Look, I said his comments were gross and despicable. Paul Ryan is supposed to have candidate Trump at Fall Fest. I'm sorry, this is one of my favorite scenes ever in Wisconsin politics. Let's watch.
There is a bit of an elephant in the room. And it is a troubling situation. I'm serious, it is. I put out a statement about this last night. I meant what I said, and it's still how I feel. But that is not what we are here to talk about today. Thank you so much, you guys. God bless you all. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
That's bad. I mean, that was like Eric Erickson, disinviting Trump to Red State, a gathering. God bless him. But I mean, that was bad. You don't kick the guy when he's down. I don't like people who kick him when they. I mean, come on.
I absolutely agree.
I have a long memory.
It took Paul Ryan a lot longer than me to get on board with President Trump. But
you were great.
Can I on the omnibus bill? Donald Trump could have vetoed that bill.
Look,
he should have.
I agree, but
Paul Ryan should have told him to veto it.
There wasn't enough in that bill to justify putting everybody on the line.
But I agree. But you have to understand.
So let's do a rescission and let's fix the spending.
But you have to understand that the Senate and the negotiation in the Senate gave us not just the military money, but gave us the $63 billion of non-defense discretionary spending that we were stuck with.
But your colleagues are all.
It was Trump and Ryan hand in glove. I agree with you.
They know it.
All right, we got a hard break. Anyway, we can continue for another segment. I don't want to. Oh, still
you had too many good clips.
Laura, the Ryan kids and Jen and Ryan are celebrating tonight.
I
That is
love
coming
them.
home.
They're
That is
great people,
They are
but
great people.
it's Trump's party now. It's Matt Schlapp's party now.
I'm okay with that.
All right, that's